Heresy. Eris Morn has a bad feeling about the Hive Sisters and her relationship with them in a new lore card. We've seen Eris many times over the years, but this time things may be different, and there may even be a character death. Welcome Guardians, let's dive right in.
I wield their killers as a knife. The Hive know this truth as well as any logic. I am here, and they are not. I opt.
Heresy is going to bring us back to the Dreadnought. We know this, but Bungie also showed us some new armor sets themed around this episode too. A Navigator set. Oryx was called the Navigator, so that makes sense. And we also have an Eris Morn themed armor set. I don't even think we really needed the armor to confirm this, but Eris Morn will 100% be a part of the final episode here. Eris's connection to the Hive began, well, when she was stuck in the Hellmouth for years and would emerge with acolyte eyes.
6 of us went down into the pit. Only one crawled out. I am Eris, the last.
While stuck down here, she studied Hive magic with the help of Toland's journal. And thanks to the guidance of the Ahamkara rock in her hand, was able to make her way through the tunnels and back to the surface. A creepy Eris Morn eventually appeared in the tower and would begin to work for Ikora's Hidden, diving into more Hive projects like assisting the Guardian in taking out Oryx and the Taken King. That was one of her biggest roles, although most of it happened behind the scenes. Mara, Eris, and Osiris all making a plan to take out Oryx and his sister. The Awoken would halt the Dreadnought near Saturn, and Eris would get the Guardian inside and complete the job. She helped us into the Ascendant Realm. She helped us clean house after his death with characters like the Darkblade and Malak.
I have accepted my fate. I will not fail.
And Hive knowledge was not all she had. Shadowkeep and Beyond Light showed us her study into the darkness too. Her acquisition of stasis, and in Lightfall ascent to the most powerful Hive being in existence for a short period of time. Point is, Eris Morn knows a lot. In a new lore card for the Sword Ill Omen, Eris explores the Deck of Whispers from Season of the Witch further, and the connection between her and the Hive siblings. The Witch, the Adherent. Eris Morn placed both cards down on her work table, the illuminated faces gleaming under the sharp light of her lamp. The Deck of Whispers had not sat idle since her metamorphosis had concluded. The cards had been consulted occasionally by herself and others, each supplicant approaching with a question and leaving with a new perspective. For now, this was all the cards could provide. They no longer whispered to her since her vengeance had been satisfied. But Eris could still feel the push and pull of the Hive spells woven through their being. To any other practitioner, they would be no more than flat images, a hint of some deeper meaning. However, they were so intimately tied to her that she could still read them, even without her terrifying morph. Savathun and Xivu Arath. Where had they fled to? What were they planning? The sisters were at odds once again, the natural bond of their love and logic restored. Eris placed a third card beside the others, the Harbinger. So, she still had a role to play in all of this. She stared down at the image of herself, running an ungloved fingertip along its edge. They would come for her soon. For a fleeting moment, Eris remembered the shape of her own claws, the power of the hive in her grip, and best of all, the terror, the fear, the heartbreak as Xivu Arath was removed from her throne. The feeling evaporated. The card faces stared up at her. The three of them united once again, Eris Morn, Savathûn, and Xivu Arath. The card spoke of confrontation, but also sorority. Xivu Arath had called her sister. Was she still? One final card, Lament. The visage of Oryx, his dreadnought, his logic and his laws. That phantom with a shadow so long it lingered over them long after his death. She tensed for a moment, her eyes lingering over the card face before picking up each one, returning them to her deck. So this card is intriguing. Eris Morn went through a lot last year in Season of the Witch. She became a hive god herself, confronted the power of Xivu, and cast her out of her own throne, making her mortal. She rose above even Savathûn for a short moment so the Guardians could learn the way forward. Through that content and now this lore, Eris has a connection with the hive gods. Sure, she would always study them and was forever changed thanks to the events in the Hellmouth on the moon, but over time she's learned of Savathûn's cunning. She's learned the power of Xivu, the leadership of Oryx, and putting this all to the test with tithes and tributes. Currently, Savathûn has her own plans, she always has. At moments she doesn't agree with the ways her sister is choosing, yet she still feels a bond to her. The Hive siblings have a weird way of connecting with family. Over the past millions or billions of years, they've killed each other multiple times out of love. I believe Dual Destiny had some audio around this topic of Savathûn and her sister.
What trinket from the past holds your attention so?
Not a trinket, a perspective. The knowledge of angles, of edges, and the points at which they end. A convincing argument from Sister Superior, you could say.
Most of Eris's life after becoming a guardian has been devoted to these ancient creatures. It's also cool to see how the Hive Sisters interact with her. Savathûn's cunning lines and Xivu straight up calling her her sister, that she longed for Eris to acquire that power back in Witch and face her in a head-to-head battle.
Heresy! Heresy!
We become free. We will avail ourselves of our enemy's tools. Xivu Arath believes every death proves the sword logic. That she unveils the false shape of the traveler's lie by her blade. But she needs her truth. She is desperate for its vindication. She wishes for a world without grief, or pity, or doubt. Not baleful, not beautiful. A childish cry.
Now, if you've been playing Destiny 2 over the last week, there's a small tiny event in-game where you can get some quests and items from Eris and Drifter. This is called the Past is Prologue and has some nice little dialogue and lore hints within. This may also hint at where things could go in Heresy. Eris is involved but may Drifter be as well. Drifter sent you here with lunch? Eris wearily regards the container you brought her, then cracks it open. The air fills with a tantalizing blend of aromas. Dumplings, Eris observes with solemnity. She sighs. The Drifter and I have been cautiously discussing the past. That is, we have been reflecting upon my tendency to cling to material remnants of years gone by, and the Drifter's reluctance to divest himself in his old reputation. This seemed an adequate opportunity in which to make a fresh appraisal of all that I have gathered throughout the years. I believe Drifter meant this small kindness as encouragement. She smiles faintly. I would not wish for you to leave empty-handed. Please, take something. Consider it a fair exchange. So most of the cards from this Past is Prologue quest are little entries like this, Drifter and Eris going back and forth, Drifter giving Eris some lunch and some food because she's always busy, and Eris reflecting upon the past. Now the name in itself, Past is Prologue, means a look toward the future. The past just seems to be the beginning for these two. Whether that means for stories down the line, just for this quest, or what happens in the coming weeks in Heresy, I guess we'll find out. Anyway, Guardians, that's all we got for today's video. The Ill Omen card came out in the final shape and was definitely a nod toward the events of Heresy, which we're going to see very soon. The reveal stream for Heresy is tomorrow, so be sure to come back to the channel to catch up on all the news you need to know. And if you'd like to see some more Destiny news, lore, and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.